Pharisees are trying to trap Jesus. They are trying to make him say political things, sort of against his will. Thank God we are past such problems these days, and no one ever tries to get Jesus's words to line up with their own political agenda against his will. The thing they are trying to use today is taxes. If you can bring up money and politics in one question, it's probably a good move if you're trying to get someone to say something that will make other people uncomfortable. And of course, Jesus sees that it is a trap. They have no curiosity about the legality or the morality of paying taxes to Caesar. We have the Herodians, who support the puppet king Rome has put into place, partnering up with the Pharisees, who are allowed to follow their faith and the faith of their people as long as it does not disturb the political power of Rome. They have gotten together to try and get Jesus to say something that will push this story towards its conclusion. Is it lawful to pay taxes to the emperor or not? Because you see, if Jesus says it is okay to pay taxes, then those who are being crushed by the oppressive and violent Roman rule will be brokenhearted. They will be brokenhearted to hear that this prophet of liberation is not on their side. But if Jesus says, don't pay your taxes, then the charges of insurrection will right themselves. I mean, of course it doesn't work. This is Jesus, and it takes a lot more than a tax question to knock him off his game. In the first reading from Exodus, Moses and God are having this amazing conversation. This entire thing happens right after the whole golden calf episode. Moses has been spending all of this time in the tent of meeting with God. Moses and God have been in this tent, and a pillar of cloud stands guard, and Moses has something he wants. Moses longs to see the glory of God. The second commandment, which Moses is about to bring down on some stone tablets, prohibits graven images. More specifically, it prohibits the worship of graven images. Idolatry is worshiping a thing that we have created, or a force of nature in the place of God. It is not usually so clear or so obvious as a golden calf. But we were made by God to worship God and to love one another. God is not contained within anything in this world. Everything that is, everything we touch and taste and see, is instead contained within God. We rock and sway and move our whole lives within the love that breathed this world into being. And idolatry is an attempt to contain the glory and the power of that love into something that we can manage. Every act of idolatry attempts to reduce the holy into something we can hold. The world is contained within God and never the other way around. The powers and forces and lovely things of this world are meant to serve creation, but creation was never meant to serve the powers of this world. Money and power and beauty and pleasure can all be lovely in their own way. But when we put them in the place of God, they become toxic. The worship of these things can lead people to squander an encounter with incarnate love with a political maneuver. How sad is that? We were created and called to keep our worship focused on God and not on ourselves or the things that we make. Not our government or our laws or our money or our power or our comfort or our pleasure, because none of those things will heal us. None of those things could reach into the tender and hurting places deep in our hearts. Salvation just means healing. The idols of this world cannot heal us. They cannot save us. They cannot save us any more than a cardboard rocket ship can take us to the moon. When we serve the things that God made to serve us, we lose our place and our direction. We begin to believe that our worth comes from getting more of the things that we have put in the place of God, more money, more power, more whatever. And it is not that it is bad things that become idols. We can put anything in the place of God. Love of our own family, attachment to a political ideology, love of country, devotion to things we make. Even the way we prefer to worship can become an idol. Anything can. We long so deeply for a connection with the holy. And God is always present, but not always so obvious as a pillar of fire or smoke. It feels much safer to find a thing here within the created world to worship. When God feels far away, we can sometimes return to the last place we felt love and fall down and worship that place. It feels good to make a golden calf, to put something in our sight and within our control that can hold our longing for God. Moses longs to see the glory of God, but the face of God is so powerful and so beautiful that even Moses, trusted and faithful as he is, cannot look at it and survive. God says, I will be gracious to whom I will be gracious, and I will show mercy on whom I will show mercy. And God is gracious and merciful and allows Moses to see just the after image, the reflection of God's glory, like trying to see an eclipse by looking at the pattern of light on the ground under the trees, so that every little crescent of light is proof of what is too stunning to look at directly. God shields Moses' eyes from her glory, and even that is a gift beyond all imagining. This glory of God is the light by which we see all things, and the whole world is lit up by it. And when it is hard to see, perhaps she is simply covering our eyes for a moment because she passes so very close to us. Jesus asks the Pharisees and the Herodians if they happen to have on them a coin used for the tax. And they do. This coin that they offer has the image of the face of Caesar on it, and quite likely a description, an inscription declaring him to be the Son of God. But this face of Caesar is utterly powerless. The face of Caesar can be put in your pocket or thrown in a jar on your dresser. The face of Caesar can be given back to Caesar, and Jesus suggests that they do just that. Jesus suggests they take their pockets full of idols and go. The face of Caesar only has the power we choose to give it. The face of Caesar is nothing more than what is already his. The things that belong to Caesar are thin and flimsy and can be gone in an instant. But give to God the things that are God's, says Jesus. And what is that? What is it again that bears the image of love in the world? What was it that was made in the image of love? That's right. It's you. Each and every one of you have been made in the image of the love that created this world, and each one of you is a little crescent sun under this tree, living proof and a reflection of a love that may be too bright to look at directly. You are the image and the reflection of how God sees herself. You are made by the hands of love in the image of love for the purpose of love. You are made perfectly, and God delights in you. And so give to God that which is God's. Show up with all your heart and your mind and your soul and your strength in your outstretched hands. And when the night feels long, and when the space between our thirst and the next deep drink of peace feels too far, we have the faces of each other, because every single face in this world was made by the hands of love. And so when we can, we love our neighbors and are gentle with each other. When we can, we are tender to ourselves and practice giving everything over to love. We practice giving to God what is God's. And the blinding face of God, even when we cannot see it directly, will be gracious to us. And the beautiful face of God, even when we only see it reflected, will show mercy. And the powerful face of God sees you and knows you and absolutely adores you. Thanks be to God. Amen.